most watched news in Western Washington. King 5 News starts now.
Oh my God, he's getting killed!
It's been 1 year since she mysteriously disappeared. Tonight, authorities canvass Lindsey Baum's hometown, searching for clues as friends and family cling to the hope that she'll be found.
I'm going to be thinking about you every second while you're gone, and I'm not going to give up on you.
Meanwhile, investigators release new surveillance video in the case as the search for Lindsey goes on. And tonight, one of the men seen in that surveillance video stepped forward.
King 5's Jim Foreman has more on that development and the renewed effort to find Lindsey 1 year after she disappeared.
Those leading the investigation say tonight is about recreating a snapshot in time. That night a year ago, Lindsey left a friend's house, headed for home, and never made it.
You weren't here this time a year ago, were you? Okay, thank you so much for your help.
A big law enforcement presence descends on the small town of McClary tonight. Authorities hoping to shake loose new clues about the disappearance of Lindsey Baum. And now, just hours after we first aired this newly released surveillance video from a gas station on Lindsey's path home, the man driving that white pickup truck has come forward.
He just really didn't recall that he'd even been in McClary on that date until he saw the video, so that mystery's been solved. So it sort of illustrates the point that there are people out there, local people in fact, who have been to McClary on June 26, 2009 and hadn't come forward yet, either because they totally forgot that they'd come through town that day, or they just haven't, for some reason, gotten the message that we want to talk to them. So it just reiterates the fact that we want to talk to anybody who was in McClary on June 26.
Look closely at the top of your screen. Authorities are still trying to identify who was in that Honda Ridgeline.
If Lindsey sees this, I want her to know that I'm going to still be here for you when you come back.
It's been a long year for Michaela Campen, one of the last people to see Lindsey. Her life forever changed.
And I'm going to be thinking about you every second while you're gone. And I'm not going to give up on you.
As the evening moves on, it's clear these roadblocks are a long shot. But authorities know someone in one of the cars or trucks they stopped tonight may have that piece of information that solves this case. In McClary, I'm Jim Foreman, King 5 News.
For the first time, the parents of Kyron Horman are describing what their life has been like since their son disappeared 3 weeks ago.
It's the worst hell a parent could ever feel.
His mother, Desiree Young, and her ex-husband, Kyron Horman, say they've avoided cameras up until now because they're shy, but they've been working closely with investigators and are doing what they can to stay positive.
I look at tons of pictures and videos of Kyron. It helps me get by every day. We stay positive and don't think about the bad things because we just can't go there.
7-year-old Kyron was last seen at his Portland elementary school.
Former Vice President Dick Cheney will spend the weekend at a Washington, D.C. hospital. A spokesperson says Cheney was admitted to George Washington University Hospital after experiencing discomfort. Doctors have not said why Cheney was admitted, but he does have a history of heart trouble. Cheney was most recently hospitalized in February after suffering a minor heart attack. More than 40,000 drivers are arrested every year in Washington state for drunk driving. One Snohomish County man has a plan to toughen state laws. King 5's Kyle Moore is live in Seattle with one man's crusade to stamp out drunk driving on Washington's roads. Kyle?
Lori, the big question is how many DUIs are too many? Well, Conrad Thompson says current state laws are too lax, and he has the backing of families who lost their loved ones to drunk driving.
You really took something special from me, but I don't think you'll ever understand the pain my whole family is going through.
You can see it on their faces. The Dumlau family knows firsthand the high cost of drunk driving. On December 6th in Seattle's Belltown neighborhood, Jerome Dumlau was run down and killed by drunk driver Eric Murillo.
Hold the defendant fully accountable for the tragedy he caused on that night.
A judge sentenced Murillo to the maximum sentence of 4.5 years behind bars.
Murillo's sentence will never come close to the life sentence we are facing with the pain of losing someone we love so dearly.
We've got to get them before they get in the car.
As head of the Snohomish County Target Zero Task Force, Conrad Thompson is pushing for stiffer DUI laws, especially for repeat offenders like Alexander Petter. This is the third DUI arrest for the Kirkland man who is charged with killing 2 high school students from Federal Way along I-5 3 days before their graduation. Thompson wants a state-mandated and standardized assessment process for drunk drivers, a program he says would root out repeat offenders and divert them to rehab instead of an 8-hour alcohol information school.
If a person has a substance abuse problem and they're misdiagnosed, I can almost guarantee you they're going to be back behind the wheel, under the influence, posing a threat.
A new state law did allow a judge today to find William Gorsica guilty of felony drunk driving instead of a lesser misdemeanor charge. But this is Gorsica's 10th DUI conviction.
It shows it's not working.
And that's why Thompson is trying to encourage state senators to follow his plan. Already 2 have expressed interest, and he says the states of Illinois, Oregon, and also Tennessee are already following his plan. Reporting live in Seattle, Kyle Moore, King 5 News.
Thank you, Kyle. People in 2 Seattle neighborhoods will notice something different tonight. More police on patrol. It's part of the city's new late-night public safety initiative. The plan calls for more uniformed police in Belltown and Pioneer Square. The program will run through September and then be reviewed by the city. The safety patrol's in response to 2 Belltown shootings that happened within weeks of each other. A van with advertisements about Islam was found smeared with feces. Local authorities and the FBI are investigating it as a possible hate crime. The van's owner had it parked outside the Islamic Center of East Side in Bellevue yesterday when he noticed the vandalism and reported it. A Tacoma man is arrested for child rape after he donates a cell phone to Goodwill filled with child porn. Police say the phone had pictures and video of 32-year-old Michael Compte molesting a 3-year-old girl. The victim's mother says Compte babysat for her daughter on at least one occasion.
A King 5 exclusive, a road construction mistake that'll cost taxpayers more than $1 million to fix. We learned about this from a King 5 viewer. Tricia Manning-Smith has a look at this very expensive mistake.
If you drive I-5 through Tacoma, you know the place.
It's really an eyesore and it's really a pain.
The interchange where I-5 meets State Route 16 is one of Pierce County's worst bottlenecks. Now it's also one of the DOT's worst road construction mistakes.
It's an error that got built and constructed before we caught it. That doesn't happen very often. I can't remember the last time in my career of 27 years we actually built something that had to be partially torn down.
On eastbound 16, contractors built the Sprague ramp perfectly following DOT engineer specifications, but that design was wrong.
It was a human error and it wasn't caught.
Whose fault is it?
It's DOT. Deep down, it's our mistake. We made the mistake. We designed the job with a ramp that was not compatible with the next phase, and we're responsible for that.
Crews built this section of roadway for 2 lanes of traffic when they actually needed 3 lanes. The DOT's regional administrator says at that point in the planning process, engineers did not foresee that the ramp would be too small for a future phase of the project. It wasn't until the concrete was poured and the ramp 90% finished that someone raised a question.
This is an expensive mistake. Yes, it is. This is a mistake that actually didn't get caught until after it was built.
Now crews are ripping up that off-ramp. The DOT says tax dollars from a built-in contingency fund will ultimately pay for the fix.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It always costs the taxpayers and it's a nuisance, but what can you do about it?
Tricia Manning-Smith, King 5 News.
The DOT says that contingency fund is already built into the budget for this project to help cover unforeseen problems. The administrator says this mistake will not delay the project. BP says it's making progress on drilling a relief well that should stem the flow of this oil into the Gulf of Mexico. The company says the well should be ready to go by mid-August. The relief well will intersect with the ruptured well. Once that's completed, BP plans to pump heavy drilling mud into the oil flow and plug it with cement. There's concern tonight about a tropical depression brewing in the Atlantic Ocean and what it would do to the oil leak and the Gulf Coast if it gets bigger. Lisa Van Cise is tracking that system. What do we know so far, Lisa?
Well, Lori, I'll show you exactly where that tropical depression is spinning in the Western Caribbean, and right now still offshore, but I want to show you the track of how we expect this system to move. It's affectionately labeled Tropical Depression 1. It's the first actual storm of the Atlantic season. So Tropical Depression 1 now about 255 miles east-southeast of Belize City. It continues to move to the west and northwest at about 9 or 10 miles per hour, so pretty slow moving. Winds sustained around 35 miles per hour, gusts around 46, and we expect it to continue to push on closer to the Yucatan Peninsula sometime late in the day tomorrow, now potentially dropping about 4 to 8 inches of rain over the peninsula. So something we'll be keeping an eye on as far as the rainfall and what these these winds do. It'll continue to track on up closer to the Gulf Coast states by the beginning of next week. Obviously a system that a lot of eyeballs will be on, especially as we head into Monday and Tuesday. Lori?
Okay, thank you, Lisa.
Yeah.
Well, plan ahead this weekend. The Rock and Roll Marathon tomorrow will shut down streets and highways in Seattle. The route starts in Tukwila and winds its way into Seattle. Closures along the route start around 5 in the morning and can last until 3 in the afternoon. That includes the Alaskan Way Viaduct. Also some Highway 599 northbound on-ramps, on and off ramps on northbound I-5, both to and from Martin Luther King Jr. Way, and the express lanes on I-90 will also be closed. For more traffic information, you can head to king5.com. Get your appetite ready because the Taste of Tacoma picks back up again tomorrow at the Point Defiance Park. Food and lots of it takes over the park both Saturday and Sunday from 11 a.m. until 8 p.m. Admission to the park is free. Also this weekend, a summer kiteboarding competition at Jetty Island in Everett. Races run between 2 and 8 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. A trick and a sneaky switch. Accusations that some petition signers are being duped.
What's happening and why you need to pay close attention to what you're signing.
A ringing phone with only a recording on the line. The push to put limits on robocalls.
A live look outside where it's cooled down considerably since yesterday. Find out what's in store weather-wise for the weekend.
Want to get me to wash your car this weekend? Watch Let Jesse Buy It to 9/11 and find out how. See you then.
This weekend, save up to half off hot tubs at Riches and Clearwater Spas. New models, repos, floor models, closeouts, factory seconds. Payments from $59 a month. Hurry, Riches and Clearwater Spas half off hot tub sale ends Monday.
King 5 News is brought to you in part by your Western Washington Toyota dealers.
Initiative ballots are due in 1 week, and sponsors are doing everything to get signatures. The Secretary of State's office says some are making a sneaky ballot switch. People think they're signing one petition when it's actually one for a different cause. Then there are professional petitioners who can get up to $3 a signature if the initiative makes it to the ballot.
This year there is 7 or 8 petitions. Some people carry one, some people carry numerous petitions.
The Secretary of State's office says legally it's up to the signer to read what they're signing.
A lawsuit is filed to stop furloughs, which begin next month in our state. The Washington Federation of State Employees filed a lawsuit in Thurston County Superior Court. Only about 25 to 30% of state employees are affected by the planned furloughs after accounting for a long list of exemptions. The new iPhone is making some customers irate. The iPhone 4 went on sale just yesterday, but already customers are complaining about operating issues and signal loss. The biggest problem, an issue with the antenna that wraps around the device in this silver bar. The phone tends to lose its signal when you hold it in your hand.
Apple's response is, don't hold it that way. In my estimation, that is the wrong way to respond.
By 2:30 this afternoon, the U Village Apple store was completely sold out of every iPhone in stock. From sunny and warm, a change in the weather.
Find out if we're in for a cool weekend. Lisa Van Cise has the forecast.
We talked earlier about all the outdoor activities and fun things planned for the weekend.
We demand a summer weekend.
I can deliver. I have some good news for the weekend forecast. Overall, a pretty decent couple of days in our future. And you know, while we were talking about the cloud cover this evening that many of us saw, we did have some sunny spots. I want to show you a capture that I took from our Bellingham Tower cam. This is about 3:30 this afternoon, and granted there are some clouds in the picture, but we did see some blue skies up around the North Interior and North Sound today. So it wasn't a completely cloudy day, but many of us around downtown Seattle and Bellevue for that matter saw scenes like this one. Mainly overcast skies, and just before sunset we finally watched that cloud cover break apart. Made it to 64 degrees at SeaTac, well below normal. We had that onshore flow today that kept the clouds with us, and we didn't see much sun, so the temperatures stayed pretty cool. You know, some of our cooler locations, though, on SchoolNet, Rochester, 58 degrees was your high. West Point, the same for you, and Whidbey Island, 59 degrees. So areas closer to the water, even cooler readings there. Air quality is good, and as for the pollen count, trees and grasses low and weeds moderate. So allergies for some folks kicking up, I would imagine. Here's the setup as we head into the overnight hours and into the day tomorrow. We have high pressure offshore. That's going to continue to build in and bring us more sun. However, low pressure we have to the east of us is really helping to initiate that onshore flow. What that means for us, areas of clouds tonight. We'll see a little bit of that low cloudiness as we kick things off tomorrow, and then plenty of afternoon sun. So the forecast for the overnight hours around the north interior, partly cloudy conditions, upper 40s to low 50s for overnight low temperatures. And tomorrow, not too bad of a day. After the low clouds burn off tomorrow, we'll be mainly in the low 70s up and down the I-5 corridor. A little bit cooler, closer to the water. But again, the bottom line here is plenty of afternoon sun. Partly cloudy, dry overnight around the central and south sound, upper 40s and low 50s, and those morning low clouds burning off and giving us partly to mostly sunny conditions by the afternoon. Low 70s. If you're headed to the Rock and Roll Marathon in Seattle, you can expect a high by late afternoon in the low 70s. Taste of Tacoma, low 70s and afternoon sun for you. Out at the coast, things just a little bit cloudier here. Going to be a dry one for you, low to mid 60s, but clouds will hang on just a little tougher here. As for your marine forecast, overnight mainly light winds, but we do have a small craft advisory through the strait for the central and east waters of the strait. Hoop Fest kicking off in the Spokane Valley tomorrow, upper 70s, mostly sunny. Bring the sunscreen. We'll see more sun in the Cascades tomorrow, mid-50s to the upper 60s for highs. And our 5-day forecast does bring some showers back for Sunday. So Saturday, the better of the two weekend days. We'll still see the sun on Sunday, but a better chance for showers. Those will decrease on Monday. Dry one for us Tuesday, and then cooler, little wetter for the middle of the week. We'll talk about that in the +5 forecast here in just a bit.
Okay, Lisa, thanks.
Thank you, Lisa.
Exactly 1 year ago, music fans went silent as they learned the king of pop had died.
We'll show you how fans and family members are remembering Michael Jackson.
A local business owner is taking legal action to hang up on robocalls he says have been ringing him for a decade.
You may be helping the environment, but a warning about your health when it comes to using reusable grocery bags.
A lot has changed in the last 50 years. TVs have gotten bigger, computers have gotten smaller. One thing hasn't changed. Toyota is still Toyota. Still the one for the best value. Still the best dependability. Still the best fuel efficiency. Now, during Toyota's Still the Best sales event, get a new 2011 Camry with 0% financing for 60 months or $1,000 cash back. Or lease a Camry now for just $199 a month. Toyota is still the one. See your Western Washington Toyota dealers.
Most watched news in Western Washington. King 5 News at 10:30 starts now.
Should federal robocall laws be strengthened?
That's what a local attorney is asking after one of his clients received calls for more than a decade. Here's King 5's Chris Daniels.
Imagine your phone ringing. Day after day. Night after night. When you least expect it. And a recorded voice is on the line.
Your vehicle is subject to a recall.
1 in the morning or 2:30 in the morning or whatever.
Dick Barron has dealt with it for more than 10 years.
Companies wanting to loan you money.
The small business owner says he's been harassed by phone, fax, and email with financial and other pitches.
We think it ought to be prevented.
Attorney Rob Williamson represents Barron and 6 other people in different cases now working their way through U.S. federal court. And he argues state law should preempt federal statutes for robocalls, which allow banks, healthcare providers, charities, and political organizations to dial you up.
Our state law is different. It's stricter.
The Washington State Attorney General's office has agreed in the past, arguing in court filings that the state law says no organization can robocall without the consumer's permission. But yet Williamson says certain companies have dismissed it.
Well, sometimes they just ignore the law.
Barron is hoping, after settling with 2 companies which robocalled him, it will be enough to end his decade of disturbances.
I think it's kind of unfair that we have to be exposed.
Chris Daniels, King 5 News.
The federal law does issue severe fines for illegal robocalls of up to $16,000 a call. By the way, the National Do Not Call Registry does not protect businesses and fax machines from receiving robocalls. The Grace Harbor Sheriff's Department has found a man wanted for questioning in the Lindsey Baum case.
The man seen in a white pickup truck and then inside the mini mart has stepped forward. Authorities are still looking for a man spotted filling up his black pickup at a gas station the day Baum disappeared. The men are not considered suspects, but they were in McClary around the time Lindsey disappeared.
Former Vice President Dick Cheney is in the hospital tonight. He was admitted for some tests after going to the doctors because of discomfort. The 69-year-old has a long history of heart trouble, but it's not clear if his discomfort is heart-related.
A road construction mistake will cost taxpayers nearly $1 million to fix. The problem is in Tacoma at the interchange where I-5 meets Highway 16, a ramp was built wrong. It wasn't until the concrete was poured and the ramp 90% complete that someone discovered the problem. The DOT says that a contingency fund is already built into the budget for this project to help cover unforeseen problems.
Preparations are underway to recognize a Spokane Valley Marine killed in Afghanistan this week. 23-year-old Josh Dumas' family says he was killed by an improvised explosive device Tuesday. A memorial service will be held Monday in North Carolina, where the Marine was stationed. His body will then be flown to Fairchild Air Force Base in Spokane. Dumas was married with a son on the way.
A fake health inspector is targeting local restaurants, and not for a free lunch, rather personal information that could lead to identity theft. One restaurant owner reported the caller threatened to fine their business $5,000 unless they provided personal information over the telephone. Another owner we spoke with says she caught on to the scam quickly.
Usually they announce themselves, the county and who they are. They didn't announce a name.
So far, no one has fallen for the scam, but health inspectors remind businesses that appointments are never made over the phone, and they're almost always unannounced when they arrive at restaurants for inspections. The Snohomish Health District reports at least 7 restaurants in the county have been targeted by the scam.
If you're not careful, helping the environment could be harmful to your health. Reusable grocery bags can harbor dangerous bacteria if they're not cleaned regularly. Scientists with the University of Arizona randomly tested dozens of reusable grocery bags and found just over half had E. coli and other contaminants inside.
It's the E. coli, it's the salmonella. These are the ones that are perhaps the most common ones that will affect people, causing most often a gastroenteritis. And it can become even more serious.
The best advice? Wash your bags, especially if you carry meat in them. 97% of the people researchers interviewed had never washed their bags.
Yesterday, Seattle Mayor Mike McGinn announced his pick for police chief, but he told me today he knew interim chief John Diaz was his choice at a press conference on Tuesday. And you praised him during that press conference. Did you know at that time that he was your choice? Did he know that he was your choice?
I knew he didn't.
When did he know?
We sat down after that press conference.
You can hear more from the mayor about his chief appointee this Sunday night on King 5 News Up Front at 11:30. There's a cereal recall underway after reports of a strange smell coming from the boxes. Kellogg is recalling 28 million boxes of Apple Jacks, Corn Pops, Fruit Loops, and Honey Smacks cereal. Customers have complained about a waxy smell and flavor coming from the package liners. Kellogg's still trying to figure out which material in the liners is causing the problem. Toyota's telling dealerships to stop selling one of their Lexus hybrids and is issuing a recall. Tests found that fuel leaked during a rear impact crash test on the 2010 HS 250H sedan. The recall includes 17,000 vehicles. The owners will soon be notified about the recall, but Toyota says it has no fix yet. Its own tests have not recreated the issue.
Boeing has pulled an about-face just one day after telling King 5 it would not halt any 787 Dreamliner flights. The company is now saying it is temporarily grounding test flights after discovering some tails on its planes were installed incorrectly. The problem involves the horizontal tail section and shims that were added by a manufacturer in Italy. Juvenile Hall needs some major upgrades, and that has some King County Council members hoping a sales tax hike can spruce it up. The center is dealing with everything from brown water in its pipes, leaky windows, and a 40-year-old heating system. It needs $20 million in repairs. Council members are proposing a 0.1% sales tax hike. The measure has to get through the full council to get on the November ballot.
Starbucks is joining a new trend, turning baristas into bartenders. Soon its Capitol Hill store will start serving beer and wine. It's been a winning combination for the Richmond Beach Coffee Company in Shoreline and the 909 Coffee and Wine Bar in Burien. Now the neighborhood coffee shops face new competition.
But I guess if they want to sell it, they can sell it. We still have better coffee than they do.
Business has been really good. I mean, better than I ever hoped it would be. And I think people are kind of into the smaller shops right now, the neighborhood shops.
Starbucks Capitol Hill store will undergo renovations in July and start selling beer and wine this September. Wine drinkers will benefit from fierce competition among some Northwest wineries. Many Oregon wineries are starting to produce lower-priced Pinot Noir wines. The Willamette Valley has become so renowned for the grape, it has created a winery boom. The wineries are forced to adjust their prices to stay afloat.
Oregon wine has to be approachable. And we kind of were on this ride for about 10 years where we almost became unapproachable. We were pricing ourselves out of the market.
Stone Wolf Vineyards is now producing a Pinot for about $7 called Rascal. They say it rivals the quality of much more expensive Pinot Noirs.
In the mood for some delicious food this weekend? Now on king5.com, find out where you can get some of the Northwest's best hamburgers and tamales. And learn about all the events that are expected to tie up traffic in Seattle this weekend. Plus, watch the entire interview with Seattle Mayor Mike McGinn talking about his choice for police chief. And you can get news on the go with the King 5 iPhone app. Find it now in the iTunes store.
2 Seattle Seahawks will visit Joint Base Lewis McChord on Monday for the ride of their life. Josh Wilson and Jamar Adams plan to take a ride in the C-17 simulator at McChord Field. They'll also sign autographs for the military personnel there. Wilson and Adams will be on base from noon to 3:30 p.m. 2 Renton teenagers are hailed as heroes.
Find out how a health class and some quick thinking helped them save a man from drowning.
It's not unusual for an athlete to suffer concussion, and it happens to girls just as often as boys. Find out, though, why it could be more dangerous.
And Lisa Van Cise is back with an update on the weather. Boys aren't the only ones who suffer from sports-related concussions. Experts say young women are just as susceptible to suffer from them, and their symptoms tend to last longer. Julia Rice is a soccer player. As she watches her schoolmates play lacrosse, she understands the dangers of a concussion.
I went up for a header, and I collided with one of the defenders, and I tumbled. I rolled on the ground, but instead of tucking my head hit the back of the turf. And I just remember seeing black spots, being very disoriented.
She continued playing, which she regrets.
I knew something happened, and so when I got off the field, I felt very nauseous. And I still wasn't seeing as clearly.
The headache went on for days.
Emotionally, I just felt very introverted and didn't want to talk to anybody.
Common symptoms, but research has found those symptoms may last longer in girls, yet treatment is the same.
It's important to keep an eye on their activities and behaviors immediately afterwards because, again, that can change and fluctuate.
Sometimes it may be hours or days before symptoms appear. Concussions in girls seem to be on the rise.
We know that girls will report higher incidence of concussion. That may be because they actually have a higher incidence of concussions or that they're more willing to admit when they have one.
Julia took a month off from soccer. Now she's back on the field and more cautious.
Because I know what could happen and I don't want it to happen again, so it's not that I play safe, it's just I play smart.
Basketball and soccer are the 2 sports where girls are more likely to get concussions than boys.
A broken water main creates a big mess in Pittsburgh. Witnesses say the broken main sent water shooting 50 feet into the air. The 8-inch break sent debris flying, damaging one home. Water also flooded basements. That water main is 45 years old. You could call it the catch of the day. A news crew was working on a story in the Mississippi River when a carp flopped onto their boat. It was quite a shock, but the photojournalists managed to keep the camera going. This was one catch they decided to throw back. And while it's warm in other parts of the country, they're trying to cool off as best they can with flops like this.
Sexy! Whoa, sexy!
Nothing like a little belly flop to beat the heat in Denver. These are actually firefighters competing in the belly flop contest. Who can make the biggest splash and who can make the biggest impression? Actually, some of the water park customers took part trying to win a trip to Mexico. The firefighter winner won cash for his favorite charity. One more. Ouch. That hurts.
Ouch. You know,
We saw pain on his face.
Kid doing that, you know that that's gotta hurt.
I can feel it just watching them. Man, no belly flopping weather here just yet. I think we'll be pretty comfortable as we head into the day tomorrow. Yeah. The one thing we're going to keep a close eye on, though, the cloud cover overnight, because we do have a partial lunar eclipse to tell you about very early in the morning. 3:13 is when it starts. It'll wrap up about 6. But if you can see the moon, go ahead and take a look. It'll be about 54% in the shadows. So something to keep an eye out if, in fact, you're one of the few up that early on Saturday morning. Low 70s is where we'll top out for Saturday. Some morning clouds, plenty of afternoon sun. Good luck to all you runners in the Rock and Roll Marathon. Should be a nice day for a run. Long run at that. Showers come back in for Sunday. They'll wrap up through the day on Monday, another dry one for Tuesday. Then we get a little bit cooler on Wednesday with some showers back in. Thursday dry, Friday and Saturday showers. Typical early July weather, but again, we're keeping our eye on the 4th of July, and right now, looking dry. Partly to mostly sunny, low 70s for the 4th and the unofficial start of summer here in western Washington. The 5th of July, also partly to mostly sunny in the low 70s.
Though this weekend is one to savor.
Yeah, absolutely. Shouldn't be too bad. Sunday, a little wet in spots, but nothing terrible.
Let's just get out and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah.
Still ahead, the Storm get revenge against the Fever.
And the M's go back in time to face the Brewers. Chris is next with sports.
Aladdin, we make you feel comfortable.
Sports Now with Chris.
Obviously, the vintage uniforms didn't work for the M's.
Yeah, you know, I think the Brewers worked for them back in '82, so it worked for them again tonight. After winning 5 of 6 at the safe, the Mariners hit the road and hit the way-back machine tonight in Milwaukee in honor of Bruce Bochy, Julio Cruz, and Floyd Bannister. Seattle wearing 1982 replica jerseys. Ryan Roland Smith looking for his second win of the season. Second inning against Jonathan LaCroix looking. Jonathan not happy now, but he would get his redemption. Top of the third, Mariners lead at 2-0 and adding to their lead. Mike Sweeney with 2 hits on the night. This one brings home Sean Figgins, 3-0 Mariners. Fourth inning, the wheels would come off. Jonathan LaCroix not watching this pitch, taking it for a ride. 3-run HR. Game now tied at 3, and the big slide at the Puyallup Fair is also open. The very next batter is Carlos Gomez. He rips one to left field. Solo HR for Gomez. The onslaught is on. Roland Smith goes just 5 1/3 innings, gives up 5 hits, 5 runs. The Brewers have now won 5 straight. The M's on a 2-game losing streak, 8-3 the final. The Storm looking for payback after last week's loss to Indiana. The Fever come out firing in the second quarter. Katie Douglas hits a 3, 29 for Douglas. Seattle goes into the half down 6. Second half, watch Swin Cash takes Douglas to school, 21 for Swin. Final minutes of the game, the Storm up 1. Tanisha Wright dishes one of her 10 assists to Lauren Jackson, who finishes strong. The big Aussie with 28 points. 20 seconds to go. T goes to the well again. LJ beats the double team, puts it down. Wright would add a free throw, and Seattle is now up 5. Indiana's Brianne January tries to cut into the lead, but Jackson rejects her. Janae Morris gets the loose ball, drills the 3, but that's as close as they would get. Storm win it tonight, 85-81.
It felt like a playoff game. You know, they're a very good team, a very tough team. The way they play defense, it really makes you work and think, and the shots they were hitting made us work and think on defense as well. So
we battled. It was a great game. I think, I don't think we feel like we won. Like in the feeling in the locker room, everyone's a bit battered and a bit sore, and just kind of happy that obviously we got through it. But it was a tough game, probably the toughest we've had at home.
Great win tonight, though. Tomorrow morning, Team USA starts the knockout phase of the World Cup. They'll face Ghana. Head coach Bob Bradley knows they can't take them lightly.
Their coach, Milovan Rajovic, has done a good job. The team is organized. The team has some very talented individuals, great athletic ability.
Don't forget, Sounders FC Weekly returns Sunday after a World Cup break by the MLS. Watch it Sunday nights, 10:35 on Kong TV. Now a quick look at what else happened tonight in Chicago. Carlos Zambrano loses his cool and storms through the Cubbies dugout in a full-fledged tantrum. Carlos apparently not happy with Derek Lee. The Big Z was sent home and has been given an indefinite suspension from the Cubs for his meltdown. Also happened tonight in Tampa. Edwin Jackson walked 8 Tampa hitters, but still throws a no-hitter. Gets Jason Bartlett for the final out, and the no-no is complete for the Arizona pitcher. And finally, how about Nationals outfielder Niger Morgan? Corey Patterson taking it deep, but Morgan going way up and robbing him of the HR, and that's what else happened tonight. Coming up on Northwest Sports tonight, Sounders FC broadcaster Pete Fewing is in the house. Hear his keys for a win by the U.S. over Ghana. Plus, we're going one-on-one with former Franklin star Aaron Brooks. He talks about his breakout season, the NBA draft, and all the Northwest talent. And USC appeals the NCAA sanctions. Find out what they think is a fair penalty. All that plus Husky football great. A Husky football great declares bankruptcy. It's full half-hour sports weeknights at 11 o'clock right after King 5 News here on Kong. Final notes, Rainiers lose to Salt Lake 8-1. I'm going US 3, Ghana 1.
All right.
There you
We're
go.
going to say Ghana beat Ghana.
You got it.
Thank you, Chris. They sprang into action when someone needed them most.
Up next, meet the two teams who are heroes. They're bona fide heroes, two Renton teenagers who saved a man from drowning in Shadow Lake.
King 5's Mimi Jung has their story.
Once he got up to where he couldn't walk, he just started swimming, and then he just swam directly that way, didn't stop, and the rest just kept going.
Dean Kaler and Carly Overhauser watched as a man took a swim in Shadow Lake yesterday, only to hear him cry for help a few minutes later.
Once he got a bit farther, he started, like, making noises, like he was gasping and stuff. We kept swimming, and then after a couple of minutes, then he started calling for help.
Because this is a private lake, getting access to where the man was in the water wasn't easy. It took Dean about 5 to 10 minutes to run a quarter of a mile just to get to a point where he could pull the man out of the water.
So I took off my clothes and I jumped in. I got to him, and he was face down, doing what my mom calls the dead man's float.
I was freaking out because he looked completely dead.
Carly says she froze in shock, then started CPR on him, something she just learned at school 6 weeks ago.
I got it at my school in a health class just to have the knowledge of doing it in real life situations, and I never thought I would be able to use it.
Sky King shows paramedics taking over and transporting the man to the hospital in critical condition, still alive after a heroic effort by two teenagers.
It's a good feeling. It's kind of like I did something worth doing, something that's important, something that's going to affect more than just one person's life.
Mimi Jung, King 5 News.
The fire department says while many lakes can be too cold for swimmers right now, Shadow Lake is fairly shallow and warm, so it's unclear why the man started struggling in the water. Before we go, if you ever thought there wasn't enough color and style in sports, here it is. Cal Anderson Park tonight in Seattle for the first prom dress rugby tournament. Playing we will go. What you're witnessing are members of the Seattle Quake men's rugby team in prom dresses. Dresses either picked out by friends or at local thrift stores. Not to be outdone, the Seattle Breakers women's rugby team dressed in tuxedos. One player is quoted as saying, "I'm going for anything that's bright," as we just saw. All this fun is for a cause. It's to raise money for the Quake team and Lambert House, which is a gay youth center. This is just one event for Seattle Pride Weekend that will be occurring all over the city tomorrow and Sunday. Real men wear dresses right there.
You know, running in a prom dress is no easy feat. You got to give these guys credit.
There we go. Score one for fashion.
At least they're not wearing high heels. That's it for us right now. Thanks for watching.
Northwest Sports Night with Chris Egan is next. King5.com on all the time with the latest news, traffic, weather, and sports. Back to you, Tom.